the Abel Marketing's Facebook Live for Thursday, September the 5th, 2024. Today I have joining me Flora Gordon from Flora Gordon Design. Flora, you and I met June 1st at a thing called the Entrepreneur Growth Summit in Richmond, run by Marshall Stern.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk to you about today was your background. I'm going to share some stuff in the live chat here. But also, one of the things I really liked from that presentation of yours was your differentiation document. Now, I don't know if you have an electronic copy you can share here, but I'd like to talk about it because I thought it was really effective, at least for me as a copywriter and a content creator. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about why you started the Image agency?
Yeah, thanks so much. So I have been a creative professional for over 20 years. I went to Emily Carr University, and I created my own company. First of all, to have that freedom that business owners have to set their own schedule and things like that. I needed that. But for me, I wanted to work with companies where I can make a really big difference with their marketing and work with companies who we're open to taking a little bit of a risk, like taking a step away from the super corporate regular way of doing things.
Right.
So for me, with the imageimage,
Imageimage. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. But the differentiation document you were talking about, that's something I lead people through with workshops. And I really want to work with people who have something different or some kind of different approach that we can highlight through branding.
Yeah, because I just was again struck by your presentation June 1st, which I mentioned. Just your commitment to, I think, your career design, your clients, your training and background, and that document really stood out to me. I don't know if there's a way we could share it, or if you have I only have a physical copy of it. I was thinking we could share it today, or we'll find a way to share it when I post the Facebook Live, maybe to some groups, and I have the video files uploaded to my YouTube channel. But while we stream live to Facebook, let's keep talking. So that was one of my next questions to you was, what is your background in design? But I've shared some info in the chat about you went to Emily Carr University. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I did a bachelor's of design in communication design, which is, people sort of lump it in with graphic design, and we learned all those skills, but the key emphasis of it is clear communication, appropriate communication.
Right.
I care a lot about accessibility, like making sure that the audience can read and understand the message. And that's more of like my corporate design practice, but as well with imageimage, there's a big emotional component. Like I'm using some non-traditional skills and methods to speak directly to the emotions of people. Many people go around saying, "Oh yeah, I just need more customers. I just need more customers." And
I think we all say that.
Yeah, and you think about it. Do people just need more customers, or they need the right customers? Like, you don't want the customers that are going to only take your offer because you Grouponed it, for lack of a better word. I'm not saying you, because someone gave an offer and they're going to write a negative review and get a refund and all of this stuff. Is that who you want? Or do you want people, maybe a smaller set number of clients, but they are going to value what they do? They're going to pay the full rate. They're going to recommend you to friends and family. They're going to understand your processes. Like, for instance, with copywriting and digital marketing, they'll probably see some immediate benefit, but it might be a couple months before their search ranking improves, right? And if you have a good understanding with that client, and they're the right kind of person, the right kind of personality, and they're going to understand.
I think that's totally true, because we got to promote both their businesses, and I'll share mine. 4 years in business. So looking to build my ideal client profile, what I do, but I've really worked on this recently. And what I've come to really understand as a copywriter, and you come to understand this, I think too, about ideal clients, is what I see these days, and I'm moving towards working with certain types of clients, is I cannot believe, and I learned this in my own business,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of people who don't see their blind spots and the amount of people
Oh
who
yeah.
are leaving money on the table, and they don't even
Precisely.
realize it, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to listen to what you have to say about how you can help them. And I think I've learned too that you can't make people understand or want to work with you. But I
Yeah.
just see it all the time with copywriting and with helping people as a copywriter. And I moved away just from copywriting to content creation,
Oh,
but
cool. Yeah.
also, like optimizing things like email, right? And I generally focus on the written word. I'm not a graphic designer. That's where I think like you and I would be a good match down the road because I don't
Yeah.
understand communication design. And so that's what I've seen too. What you've hit on is talking about who your ideal client is. The effective design is designed to get you more clients, but you also added another piece, which is really important too. And that piece is that it takes time in marketing. So
Yeah.
that's an ideal client fit, but even an ideal client has to understand that these things take time, right? When you make
Precisely.
that investment, right?
Precisely. So, for instance, if someone is selling jam, um,
Mm-hmm.
okay, jam. They do a billboard? Did they get an online ad? Did they read a blog about some jam with less sugar in it? And wow, I'm interested. Are they going to throw out their current jar of jam, or are they going to finish that jam and then
Mm-hmm.
next time they're at the grocery store they forgot, and then a month later they remembered and they bought it? So the person might say, oh well, I did these ads, um I did this marketing and I didn't get return right away, when it's like we need to understand the buying cycle, and the sort of the customer, the customer,
Customer
how
acquisition.
often do they buy things, and they may be on some low sugar kick because it's January or something, and they may think, okay, I don't want to buy jam at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not about the immediate results for sure. When you're talking about my differentiation document,
Yes.
that's
Please
something
go.
that I like reserved for people who are in a workshop with me. But if people email me, I can let them know when the next
Okay,
workshop
sure.
is.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because
That's
I
okay.
got the
Yeah.
differentiation document,
Yeah.
and I thought it was incredibly valuable, both from my
Oh,
own
thank you.
business or both from myself as sort of like we're sort of fellow marketers, but we do different things with marketing. But I was
Yeah.
like, everybody needs to read this, and everybody needs to
Oh,
see
thank you.
something like this because, right? It's like, how do you differentiate yourself, um, you know, from the
Yeah.
crowd out there?
Yeah. So I super thank you. An example from that is I talk about the way, like vodka, the way they market vodka. It's a big song and dance. And if you see the
Right.
commercials, they're not allowed actually to show people drinking alcohol in commercials, but they're
Yes, that's right.
incredibly, yeah, they're incredibly exciting ads, because if you take off the labels, it's just clear. It just looks like water, and it's more pure the clearer it looks. So it
Yeah.
looks like nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
you have
does.
to do some big and song and dance if you look at the Absolute vodka campaigns, if you look at even what Smirnoff's or any of those ones are doing, they're getting really excited because they have to really put a costume on the fact that this is clear liquid.
Right. And here's the thing, right? Like I've noticed that with copywriting too, when you talk about vodka. So what is Absolute or a vodka company doing if they're selling a clear liquid? I mean, people drink
Yeah.
alcohol, but what are they selling and why are they selling it? And I'm trying to think of the right words because um, how do you sell something in a clear bottle with words, right? The same way, how do you sell something in a clear bottle that's a clear liquid with that design and those words on the bottle?
Precisely. So I was going to ask you, actually,
Mm-hmm.
when you had a client create a bit of a virtual team. So say you've got a new client and they're saying, hey, Ben, we want you to do the copywriting and the content creation. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
I know you also do some online strategy, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Um, so, and then they said, okay, we found Flora. She's going to update our brand for us, and she's going to do um, some graphics and come up with a few, differentiators for us that if you found, and then they'll say, oh, and so is going to program the website. Have you ever found where it's like you just want to meet all the creative team and work together, but the clients kind of separated you? Have you had that happen before?
I haven't had that experience, but I can see how
Okay.
that would happen. And I think the client wants to separate it, but I think it's the job of the people that do the different parts of the work
Yes.
to work together and to all convey the same messaging to the client and to tell the client that, hey, we're actually a team. I know we're freelancers or we're separate contractors, but
Mhm.
we're all here to do the same thing for you. I think what a lot of people do in marketing these days too, and I think you and I've talked about it, they just want a one size, one stop fits all marketer. It's like,
Yes.
well, hire an agency, don't hire a freelancer. Because if you hire a freelancer like Flora or you hire a freelancer like me, I'm only part of the I'm only part of the solution. I don't offer every single thing for marketing because I don't run my business that way, because I'm a specialist and I work within a niche and I do a certain part of everything. And so, yeah, no, you're right. I think clients tend to compartmentalize it. And I think what I've learned is I'm very specific about what I do for people. Um, and that's why I establish partnerships with people like yourself.
Exactly. Like having the experts to call on, and you can create a fantastic virtual team with the right experts, and you're not, oh, we don't have to use so and so. That's one thing with bigger agencies, right? It's sort of like usually the built-in teams, but that's, I'm not throwing shade or whatever. They've got
Yeah,
everything.
no, I don't think you are at all. And I think that's an
But
important
yeah,
part of the discussion is that I think there's too much creation these days of a one size fits all marketer um, for a company or for somebody who needs marketing help. And it's like trying to compact all these different professions into one person, which is basically impossible. Um,
precisely.
right. And so, yeah, no, it's good that you asked that question, because I think when a team of just of people like ourselves work together, you have to be clear with the clients that this is what I do. And like, this is how I do it. One of the things I was going to ask you kind of leads into our next question. And it
Hmm.
says, when working with a new client, how do you get started with them? Like, this probably continues from our discussion already, right?
Yeah, so I have a process of for onboarding and for branding, specifically asking them questions about what other brands they admire. Like right now,
Right.
um, I'm working with a client, and I was asking him about competitors. We do talk about competitors in the booklet that we talked about my workshop,
Right. Right.
and that the competitors are not just um, other companies or other brands, but it can even just be inaction, like not buying any more jam is a
That's a
competitor.
really interesting point. I hadn't thought of that.
Butter,
Because, I
dry
mean,
toast.
yeah, no, yeah, no, I think inaction is a form of action, right?
Yes, completely. So I
Right.
get started with them that way. I find out who their competitors are, and right now, I'm working with a company with who does some home services,
Right.
and I was like, okay, what other companies are coming in the sort of same kind of cost realm, in the same kind of turnaround time? It doesn't literally have to be a company offering the exact same thing, but what
Right.
can we learn by the marketing of these that the other company is doing? TV ads, have those been effective? Things like that. So I like to study the competitors and get a clear idea of where the client wants to go. Because if they don't want substantial growth, um, I'm not sure I'm the right person to help them. That with one caveat, if they want to
Hmm.
serve the same number of clients, but have clients who are going to pay them way more, like raise their prices, increase the perceived
Right.
value, increase the level of service and the quality of the product. If they want to do that, I'm ready to help them. But if they don't want to grow in any way, um, there's not a ton I can do, with the exception of right now, I'm getting a lot of people who are retiring and they have their name in the business name,
Right.
and they need to gradually take it out.
Hmm.
So it's a process for that. You don't just alienate all your current customers and say, now I'm called this and so and so's taken over and I'm on retirement ship, golfing, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
interesting, because I used my last name in my marketing, but I have a reason why I do that, and I get a lot of comments. on it.
Yeah, it makes sense for you.
Right. But yeah, no, I can see that. And that's really interesting, right? Because you've got people who first, last name their business, and you're like, well, come on, like think of something a little more exciting or something to really help you differentiate yourself in your business rather than just using your first and last name. And I think what that speaks to too is when people start to run their own business and like I wasn't aware, or I think everybody's aware, they don't realize why they need people like us to help them say, you probably shouldn't do that. And here's why. Right.
Precisely. Yeah. My original business has my name in it, but I sort of like learned since then, I learned a lot about branding in the last 20 years.
And the last 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are times when it does make sense. Like,
of course it does. Of course it does.
Stewart living Omnimedia, if only. But there's many cases where people want to franchise, expand, retire, sell the business. And that's a case where you want to have that figured out. And also, understanding their goals when I'm onboarding them. Like, do they want to franchise? Because you have to have your branding buttoned up if you want to franchise, because otherwise you're printing all these T-shirts and all these van wraps and all these storefronts, and you want to change it, it's going to cost all your franchisees.
Well, that's the other thing about franchises too, right? Is that I understand from franchising, my biggest concern as a marketer and then as a customer is how consistent is the brand going to be across a franchise? Because if you're a customer, you may not know it's a franchise from the outside, but you go into the business expecting that a certain company, I'm trying to think of a franchise, I can't think of one, but you go in expecting you're going to get the same quality and level of service, and it speaks to marketing when you go to a business and you buy, say, a cup of coffee from a franchisee, that you get what you're expecting. Right?
Precisely. You want that Tim Hortons or Subway or whatever to be the same.
Right, exactly.
In Victoria to, Halifax.
Yeah, exactly. So let's, so what do you kind of already touched on it, but what are the things you're looking for to indicate that the client is a fit for you? We've elaborated on some of this stuff already, but.
So one of the things I talk to a lot when I'm mentioning screening of clients is there's a really big awareness for design now. People know they need it, but do they see it as an opportunity? Like, wow, I can do so many cool things. Someone's going to help me really take my business to the next level. Or do they see it as a potentially expensive item on their checklist that they just need to get done? I just need a website. And we saw this a lot when people everyone decided they needed to be on YouTube, right? Oh, I just need to get on YouTube. And it's like, there's no strategy behind it. I just have to get it done. Then I have my check mark. And then I tell my coach I did my homework and I went on YouTube and whatever. And it's just not taking advantage of all the things you can do, all the things you can get out of it. It's just that immediate, like, did it or not. So if someone doesn't realize the value of design and they just see it as, I have to do my taxes, then I'm not going to try to convince them of that.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. I saw this posted somewhere the other day. It was about, I don't know if it was on Facebook, Business Inner Circle, Small Business Owners of BC, or what group, but it said, don't let someone who doesn't understand your value determine your price.
Exactly.
Right? Precisely. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, completely.
That's huge.
Yeah, when I need something done in my home, I need some electrical or some plumbing, even if it's a small thing, I get a professional to do it. Not everyone's aware, but you can avoid your home insurance by doing faulty repairs. So some people will say, well, it's $100, $200 just to get these professionals in the door. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not trained for this. And so typically I find that the clients that will want to work with me also seek out experts. They probably don't color their own hair. They probably see a personal trainer. They probably just have that mindset that someone else is trained in this. I'm going to invest, and I value my time, and I've valued marketing and put money towards it. And they believe in their businesses because they're going to invest in marketing. If you're not sure and it's a side hustle, you're probably less inclined to invest more.
Yeah. There's so much of it is mindset, right?
Yes.
And so much of it is mindset, and we've hit on so many things in our discussion. We're so much on the same page. One of the, I guess I'll call it my last question. What's your most exciting project you've done today? Because we talked about all this stuff. I wouldn't say negative, but being realistic about why people hire people like us. But what's your most exciting project done today? Because there is a lot of great clients out there, great projects, things that have done really well, things that have been successful, clients who have hired you, spent the money, invested it in experience, growth, and success.
Yeah, I feel like it might be hard to pin it down to one project, but I think the most exciting thing for me is I don't always get the data about money invested and what they made, the improvement of the business, because some of that, like I said, with the jam example, it might take years and it can be hard to pinpoint what marketing effort made the big difference. But I do have a few projects where I have a record of what they spent and, doubling their sales or exceeding their goal by $100,000 or selling out 3 months early or things like that. When I get that kind of information, I just love it. And I equate it to when people are going to sell their home and the realtor says to them, hey, can you fix up your kitchen? If you put 50,000 into fixing up the kitchen, your home's going to be worth $80,000-$90,000 more because we'll get more people in and they'll bid against each other. And it's just the value of having things ready to go, ready to move in. Right. So I want to help people make money with the branding. And some of the projects I do, there are confidentiality agreements. So I can't always give all the details, but that's the kind of thing I love doing. It's an opportunity to make people money. And if I don't think I can help elevate them, then I'm not the right person. And I'll be totally forthright about that.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Having done that myself, moved and then put money into our kitchen in our old condo, and definitely helped sell it a couple of years ago. We did it 3 years ago. The rent of our kitchen, it was a 2-bedroom condo, and it helped sell it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it was more than you put in. You likely got more than you put in.
Yeah.
Even just getting more people in the door has a value, or offers, things like that too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Flora. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get all these video and audio files downloaded and saved and then uploaded and posted, and I'll send you the follow-up content. And I've shared your information in the chat. Awesome. Imageimage agency. Let's just share those again. I've got your Flora Gordon design website. I got Instagram and LinkedIn. I'll share those.
Oh, you're the best.
People can see those. Share mine, which is abelmarketing.ca. info@abelmarketing.ca. It's me. I am a content creator, helping you get amongst other things, the right words to the right people. And I will talk to everyone